Hi guys, just making up the newsletter. So I wanted to do kind of a video with that. So because some people don't like to read, and I don't mind chatting. So basically, so the first thing I put in is the quote, and the quote this week or this month will be: "Do something today that your future self will thank you for." I think that's really important. I think I've been trying to think about this idea of your path, like in the present, we're only where we are based on our past actions. But sometimes we think, "Oh, I'll do that in the future," or I'll get to that later." But it's only easier to do it in the future if you made it easier in the past. So again, it's like the best way to be healthier in the future is to start being healthier in the present, because then it means that you have your momentum already. You've got some good habits already. So again, it's like sometimes when we're thinking we can offset it to the future, we need to think a little bit more about, let's start now and what can we put in place to make it easier for our future selves. So I like that. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. What can you do? That could be like go to a shop, buy all the veg and healthy food you need, because that's going to make it easier for your future self to cook that meal, rather than thinking, oh, I need to go to the shop as well as cook it. Or it could be doing your exercises, foam rolling for 5 minutes. If you miss a session, I do email people and I always say, listen, even if you just do 10 minutes today or 10 minutes this week, that'll make it easier to get back into it next week, because you'll have your momentum maintained. Okay, so that was the one. Then the infographic, I'm just going to go through the infographic. You'll see the infographic. It was just on skipping. Now I started adding this a lot, and I might try throw this video in. I might try put it to the very back of this. And I found that 3 to 4 times, like between 2 to 4 times of just like 3 to 5 minutes of skipping, can improve 3k times more than the group that just did running in the same time. So one group did like 5 minutes of running plus their training. The other group did 2 to 5 minutes of skipping plus their training, and the 3k times were significantly better. And that means that the results aren't due to luck in the skipping group. And I think it's because that improves your running economy. Skipping is a really good thing. It's called a self-limiting exercise. Okay, so skipping, when you skip, basically, if you just keep hitting the rope if you can't do it, and that's brilliant, because it means you can't get into trouble. It means you can't get sloppy. So what I've started to do is I just have my skipping rope in my car, and when running back to my house at the end of my run, I'm cutting my run, say like 3 minutes short, grabbing the skipping rope, and I'll just show you the routine I'm doing. Like, so I do 20, that's Rocky going nuts. Go do 20, come on Rocky, alright. Go do 20 double leg, 10 single leg, 10 single leg, and then 1 2 1 2, and do that day 1 and do that 10 times. So I'll try just bring the thing out and do that. And again, I'm actually finding it really good. Your shins are a little bit sore initially, but I've gone over badly on my left ankle before, so this is really good though. I feel way stronger, much better on your toes. So I think it worked because it improved your running economy. So you can just read over that infographic. Thought that was really interesting. Okay, the training section is, I think, interesting. I'm going to send a post up. To be honest, I'm recording this. I don't know when you're going to get this newsletter. I'm just going to do up a load of them now that I have a bit of time. So if you need it, just ask me for running drills that I do in the warm up. Okay, and that's what I was looking at. So specific warm ups to do. Okay, a lot of people use 50 to 10 meter, 100 meter runs. Some of you don't even do a warm up, which is crazy, right? But I was looking up a thing. I'm going to post it up here, so I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to ye. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so it's called VO2 kinetics. Okay, have you heard of VO2 max? That's how much oxygen you take in. I was actually going to, I'll do it next one. It will be the 3 factors that influence how you'll run, and that's VO2 max, your ability to take in oxygen, your lactic threshold, and your running economy. That's how smooth you are. But I'll do that. This caught my eye today, so I just threw it in. But so VO2 max is how much oxygen you can take in and use effectively. Okay, and what VO2 kinetics is about is how long it takes us to build up to that. Okay, and it can take I don't think I tried this before. I don't think you'll be able to see the. Actually, maybe if I go like this. Ah, yeah. Okay. Okay. And you see that? Okay. So you can see this is not recorded by a professional, but if you can see that graph, do you see the way it curves? Okay. So if you have a good idea of that graph, what that means is it can take 80, like between 40 and 80 seconds to get up to speed. Okay, so what you need to do in your warm-up is put in specific intensity drills. Okay, so what I've always done this. Ned Nolan actually and Geraldine Nolan, my sister, they would have taught this. So I've been doing this for years, but I was just reading this. It was interesting why it works. So the idea is you might have to start your warm-up a bit earlier, but start your warm-up a bit earlier, but so I usually do a warm-up. You wouldn't do it like a 30-minute warm-up would be fine, but I would do a 30-minute if you want to do in a good run. You might just run for 10 minutes, then do some gentle stretches, high knees, maybe bum kicks side to sides. Then you do your strides. And what we would do now, I would do a 45-minute warm-up or 50-minute warm-up, depends on if there's internationals or sometimes call rooms, so you just go longer. But between 20 and 10 minutes before your run, I do like one 200-meter run for 1500. Now if it's for a 5k, this is for 5k and below basically. You wouldn't would I do this for, might do it for a 10k, definitely wouldn't do it for a half marathon or marathon, just 100 meters. You're not going to have to get up to that VO2 max as quick. But 10 to 20 minutes beforehand. Now for track runners, I would do this 20 minutes beforehand. I do it in my normal big runners. You run at the pace or with the feel of the pace of your run for about 30 seconds. Okay, the one they say to do, for a 5k you might do 300 meters. So one 300 meter effort at your perceived race pace. Or what you could do if space is at a premium, do 4 50-meter runs at the pace that you're going to be running, or a little bit quicker with only a 20-second break. Is that okay? And what you're trying to do is really get yourself breathing. And what that does then is, by the time then you come back, so what I usually do is I do that, then I change into the shoes I'm going to be wearing. I then, because I'll be in spikes, then I just do my high knees and kind of shorter sprints then, just to get my muscles firing and everything else like that. But especially even if you're doing your 5Ks, at least 10 minutes beforehand, one, like either 4 by 50 meter strides with only 20 seconds. So you're really breathing heavy, 10 to 15 minutes beforehand. Because that first graph that went like that, this was oh God. You see the way how that spikes up straight away? Okay, so what that means is that in the research study that they did, the people who didn't do that, it took them that 40 seconds. So that's where you're like, it's really uncomfortable at the start. You're not used to the speed, especially those that don't warm up. Yeah, it was only when I did a race with Cher before, and I didn't realize that people just might do a tiny jog and then just go. They don't do all the strides and stuff. So, but that just allows your body to be like ready to get up to the VO2 max straight away. Now you don't do it right before the race, because if it's 5 minutes beforehand, you're going to be tired. But like within 15 minutes beforehand, or 20 minutes in my case, if it's like 1500 meter, because that is quite intense, you're grand before the race. Do you know what I mean? And then last 5 minutes, I'm more chilling. Very easy stretching, shaking out my legs, not over striding then as well. Okay, so that's the way I usually do my warm up. It would be, say, a 45 minute. I might go 50, so I do between a 12 and 15 minute jog. Then I do stretching. I do kind of mini static stretching then, like holding for about 10 seconds, calves, soleus, gastroc, hamstring, glutes, piriformis, hip flexor, like that one when I'm running. So, the one and a half kneeling. Then I go do my hips. I do a kind of weird one with my hips. I get a bit of a slagging about that, but just circles basically with your hips. And then into like high knees. Still have my big runners on. High knees, bum kicks, but keep your knees coming out in front, but clipping your bum. Then jogging back, stretching, doing a little dynamic stretching. Then as I go back, side to side running for your groins. Stretch the groins. Then, not long, just like for 2-second holds now because we're moving into more dynamic. Then in my runners, I do a long 200 meter, especially when I was doing 1500 meters, because that would be appropriate. But now I'll probably do a 300 meter run at more 5k pace, just to get a hard effort, like just to get me breathing hard. So after that, I'm actually breathing heavy, and then I'll easy jog, walk back, and then I'll basically take off my running tights, get on my spikes, or if it was a road race, get on your racing shoes. Just get down into your t-shirt, maybe your singlet is underneath. Then what I'll do is just, with my shoes on, then high knees with maybe a little stride, very relaxed walk back, little stretch, bum kicks, side to sides, and then I do 3 max kind of 50 to 100 meter sprints, 100 meter strides, just to get the legs turning. Then 5 minutes beforehand, as I said, I'm just kind of chilling, ready, not chilling, but just not overly doing it then, and you should be good to go. Okay, so I thought that was brilliant, and I think that's something that would make a massive difference to you. Great. Okay, and then thanks to Emmett Dunleavy, he gave me that one. Okay, and then lastly then on the newsletter will be the avoiding injury section, or I might make this nutrition section. It'll be just like the other business. Okay, or I was going to call it technique corner. I'm just working on all these things. Basically, moves to avoid when exercising or in life. I haven't even written this up, so this might be just in the video, on the SC video. I saw a move, and my camera's crap, right? It just makes you zoom up loads. Basically, right, it's like this. They were doing this on Instagram. This with a twist. That is horrible. Never. That's gone crazy. Never do exercises or stuff in life where you're flexing and twisting. Okay, basically what it does to the that's Rocky. Basically what it does is it twists the disc and then shears it, so it just puts a lot of tension on your disc. So any exercise that you see that twist with a rotation, it's the same with the sit-ups, as I said, coming all the way up. It overly, if you know the mechanics, you know not to do that, because these are roughly figures now because I'm on camera. I could look it up, but roughly a disc, right, can take about 1750 newtons of pressure. So if you put that down, by flexing like that and coming up into a sit-up, or flexing and twisting then, so I wouldn't ever reach like that for something and go all the way down. That puts about 2250 newtons of pressure. Now, we have resilience. Like, we're not going to, the one time we go over something, we're not going to damage our bodies, like it's like you can step on something that's tough. It gives you a shot of pain, but it doesn't actually like break skin. It's the same. You're not going to break your discs or anything. You just don't want to overload them excessively. So just watch flexion and extension. So that was two exercises I saw recently. One was like where they're getting a ball coming all the way down and back up. The guy was like, I help golfers. So all he's trying to do is like totally mimic the kind of swing, but they get enough rotation. What you need to do then is what we call anti-rotation. So we get used to being able to hold the spine. That's why you'll see none of our moves even if we're doing our lunges, we're just rotating at the upper back. We're never going to be just coming down, flexing back up. So I saw that as well on Instagram, and again, the stuff looked actually quite good, but it was like saying, "Oh, this is the best Pilates teacher in the country," and I'm like, "Well, grand, but like they're gonna they don't know anything about mechanics if they are the best teacher." So don't do that. That's the main one from this one, right? Move to avoid is flexion and rotation. Okay, so I saw someone doing a lunge and coming into that, and then I saw someone in a kind of squat, twisting, pushing all the way up. If I was doing that exercise, I'd go with something heavier, come down and try stay, like our lift, up and across, and try get used to holding the core. Because again, for core, basically what you want is that you're moving through your arms and your legs, and your stomach stays strong so that you transfer the force. So I know you can't see me, but if you were here, if I'm hitting the ground and I'm able to hold here solid, all the force that I go comes through here and then is out. You never like use your, you don't want to use your trunk to move forward as well. Yeah, great. And then I have the next one. These change a bit because I was going to do mistakes to avoid when running. I'll do that in the next one, and I will maybe come up with another technique corner just to work on certain things. Okay, any questions on that, just let me know.